Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am absolutely over the moon, over 200 subscribers as I record this, more than I thought I could ever get. I am so happy that people like you are enjoying the sort of things that I enjoy, and it's just amazing. So thank you to every one of you. I often get asked, I'm talking about vintage cameras, what's the sort of best type of camera to start with? And there isn't really a right answer, it really depends on what you're looking for, in terms of the type of film you want to use, how much you want to spend or whatever. But I thought I'd look at a couple of cameras that, if you're looking for something on a budget, and just to kick you off in the vintage camera world, and actually in the world of film photography generally, that there might be a good choice. So today I'm going to start off with the Ilford Sporty. So let's have a look. So here we are then. This is the Ilford Sporty. Started appearing first in about 1959. Made in Germany for Ilford by a company called Decora, who also produced another camera called the Digna 1, D-I-G-N-A, which is actually exactly the same camera, but this is the Ilford Sporty. It changed a few times, different iterations over the next few years. This is one of the earlier ones. Later models have a plastic winder as opposed to the metal. The body on this is metal. There are parts of the lens barrel which are plastic, but everything else is metal. So although a very simple camera, it's well made. Now this is a medium format camera. It takes 120 film as opposed to 35mm, which I've been featuring in most of my recent videos. But if you look back a bit further, I do discuss 120 film. So it's roll film that's being used. And I think this is just a great introduction to medium format or film photography in general, because of its simplicity. It makes life very easy for you. So let's go through the sort of limited controls. So on top we have a cold shoe or an accessory shoe, whichever you like to call it, which can hold a flash or something like that. And we got a wind on knob, which, as I say, is metal on this one, but later models you might find are made of plastic. On the back we have our viewfinder, and we have a little red window for us to tell which frame number we're actually currently shooting. As you can see at the moment, I've got some film in there. It's on frame 6. There's no prevention of double exposure, so if you don't wind on, you can just keep pressing the shutter and it will keep taking images on the frame that you're currently looking at. So it's worth, obviously, you remembering, have you actually exposed that particular frame. On the front then, we've got our shutter release button, normally found on the top of most cameras, but on the front of this one, which is fair enough. The button has a built-in cable release function. Again, on later models this actually disappeared, but it's there on this early one. Coming to the lens then, this is a very simple camera. You'll see what I mean by that in a moment. They've not released an awful lot of information about it, and in fact I can't find any information about the lens in terms of what aperture this is, what the focal length is, etc. So if anybody knows, perhaps you can leave a comment for me. But the lens is here. It has a couple of different functions. First of all, on top we have an aperture setting. As I say, I don't know what the actual f-stop is, but it's either sunny or cloudy. And yeah, so that's basically the two options. You've got a little slider here, actually moves across. So a little bit of guesswork, but I imagine quite forgiving in its settings. We've also then got a focus ring, and again they try and keep it nice and simple for you. Ranges from 5 feet to infinity, and what they've done is they've sort of broken it up into 3 zones to make hopefully sense to beginners. So you've got close-ups here, which aren't very close really, if 5 feet away, but there you go. Close-ups here, up at the top here then we've got for groups, presumably if you're taking pictures of groups of people. And then lastly over here we have got what they call views, which I presume they mean landscapes, etc. On the bottom of the lens here then we have a receptacle for flash sync, so the shutter is synced, but there is no control for a shutter. It's fixed at whatever speed it's fixed at, because again I can't find any information on what it's set to. I'm guessing it's going to be about a 50th of a second, but there's nothing in the manual or anything like that mentioning any sort of technical specs. So again, if you know and you can tell me, please leave a comment. I'd be very interested to find out. Obviously I can't open the camera for you with a film in it, but were I be able to, then this slider basically pulls down and the whole back opens up, and you can load up your film as normal. And that's pretty much it. As I said, very, very simple, but some people are going to enjoy and appreciate that, because obviously they may not well be experts in photography. I've used this camera a couple of times and the results are not bad really for something from 1959. The only other technical thing I can tell you is that it's 120 film, but the actual exposure size is 6 by 6 centimeters. Yeah, that's kind of it. I can't really give you much more info. But the good news, the best news really, if you're looking to make a start collecting vintage cameras or using vintage cameras, these tend to go for between sort of £5 and £10 on eBay, nice and cheap, which is a little sad because I think it's quite a nice little camera, but obviously they just don't have the desirability of some others. So yeah, I could tell you the best camera, vintage film camera out there to get could be, I don't know, Pentax K1000 or something like that, but you're going to pay an awful lot of money for that, whereas this, nice and cheap and cheerful. So there you have it, quite a short video. I must take this opportunity because I always forget. Links in the description below to my merchandising, copies of prints if you want any of my photographs, details of my website, all that sort of stuff. I always forget to promote myself. Whilst I'm not in this to make money, it may interest some of you. So yeah, thank you very much. Another video next week regarding another cheap and cheerful starter in the vintage camera and film photography world. So I'll see you then. Ta-ra.